This Gideon session started with a simple idea. The writer's project file should become the working memory of the story. Not a blank chat, not a generic prompt. The actual library. Characters, businesses, planning docs, scene cards, source matches, canon profiles, and unfinished needs work files. Across these sessions, I'm building the Black Ledger from the inside out. First, by promoting specific characters and businesses into canon. Then by using the stronger canon to build a larger Season 1 antagonist web. The goal is not for Gideon to replace the writer's judgment. The goal is for Gideon to keep up with and remember it. This starts in the library. I'm looking at the connected source web that already exists inside the project. Dana Vossler is in Needs Work. Whitcomb Blue Water Charters is in Needs Work. Jack Soren is there. Pierce Whitcomb is already in Characters. Ward River and Tide Guides is already in Businesses. And the Fishing Guide planning document connects the whole cluster. That matters because Gideon is strongest when it is working from real project material. I'm not asking it to invent Dana from nothing. I'm showing it the files, relationships, rivalries, businesses, and episode pressure that already belong to the Black Ledger. The library shows what exists. Writer's Room is where I choose what Gideon should actually use. Now I attach the source packet for Dana, her needs work file, the Fishing Guide planning document, Whitcomb Blue Water, Pierce Whitcomb, and Jack Soren. This gives Gideon the right evidence. Dana is connected to a business, to Pierce, to Jack, to the maritime rivalry, and the larger episode 104 thread. That's one of Gideon's core ideas. Your work is the knowledge base. The better the file tree gets, the better Gideon can think with it. For the first pass, I don't ask for final canon. I ask Gideon to build a new Dana Vossler profile from the attached files, fill in as much as possible, and leave me choices and questions. That is deliberate. At this stage, I want Gideon to organize the material and show me what it can infer, but I do not want it pretending every creative decision is already settled. Gideon can surface the structure. The writer still decides what becomes true. For this pass, I take Dana Vossler's needs work profile and paste it into material. Then I set source depth to light. That matters because I'm not asking Gideon to reread the whole project from scratch. I've already narrowed the job. This pass needs focus. Use the attached context, pay attention to the pasted profile, and build the next working version from there. Then I hit send and watch Gideon start streaming the next version of the profile. Once the output is complete, I open it in Draft Room. Draft Room is where the result becomes a document I can read, judge, revise, and carry into the next step. This is the human part of the loop. Gideon has given me choices and questions, and now I answer them. How much does Dana know? How close is she to Pierce? Is she a mastermind, an operator, a fixer, or someone who hides behind paperwork? Gideon can accelerate the shape of the work, but it does not replace taste. The profile becomes stronger because I am making decisions inside it. Now that the choices are answered, I ask Gideon for the final Dana Vossler character profile only. The job has changed. I'm no longer brainstorming. I'm asking Gideon to clean up the working material and return a canon-ready document. Then I open it in Draft Room, choose the save path, check Update Canon Memory, and save it into Canon. After that, I go back to Library and clean up. That cleanup matters. Gideon can suggest and stage-related material, but I still own the project structure. Off-camera, I also finish Jack Soren and promote him into canon. That makes the next pass stronger, because now Whitcomb Blue Water is not connected to loose notes. It is connected to real canon profiles. Now I start the Whitcomb Blue Water business pass. I attach the needs work Whitcomb file, the Fishing Guide planning document, Pierce Whitcomb, Jack Soren, and Dana Vossler. This is the same connected source workflow, but stronger. Dana and Jack have now been promoted, so Gideon can use them as part of the source network. I ask Gideon to fill out the business profile, but to leave episode choices open. That's important. I want a stronger business profile, not a premature episode outline. For the final Whitcomb pass, I take my notes and choices, bring them back into Writer's Room, and ask Gideon for the working canon business profile only. Gideon returns a clean document. I open it in Draft Room, set the save path under Canon Businesses, check Update Canon Memory, and save it. Then I return to Library, confirm the file exists, delete the old needs work version, and remove anything redundant. By the end of yesterday's session, Dana, Jack, and Whitcomb are no longer loose ideas. They are working Project Canon. That is where the next session begins. The first session was about strengthening individual Canon files. This next session is about seeing what Gideon can do when those files become part of a bigger source graph. In this session, I'm building something larger, a Season 1 network or antagonist web. Instead of asking Gideon for one character or one business, I attach a full source packet. The bad guys roadmap, factions and power players, episode mechanics, season outline, high-level antagonists, system entities, maritime businesses, supporting characters, and key locations. This is a deeper task. I want Gideon to show who is connected, how money moves, how pressure moves, how businesses are used, who is corrupt, who is useful, who is vulnerable, and how the network supports episode 101 through episode 108. The important thing here is source depth. Gideon is not being asked to free associate. It is being given the architecture. Now I give Gideon the actual job. Build a clean Season 1 network web from the working canon and planning docs. Show the antagonist ladder, show the institutional web, show the money flow, movement flow, pressure flow, episode map, and open questions. This is the next level of the same workflow. In the first session, Gideon helped promote canon. Now that canon becomes source material for season architecture. Here I paste the requested output shape. This matters because I'm not just asking for a long answer. I'm giving Gideon the structure I want the document to follow. That structure keeps the output useful. Gideon can think deeply, but I still have to define the shape of the work. For this run, I set source depth to deep. That is the right setting for this kind of work. I want Gideon to read across the project, not just skim a few notes. This is not a light polish pass. This is a source-heavy synthesis pass. The point is to see Gideon use the depth of the project files and return something that feels connected to the actual canon. Now I send the request and let the session run. This is the part where Gideon is doing the big synthesis work. Pulling from the roadmap, the factions document, the episode mechanics, the canon profiles, the businesses, the civic entities, and the supporting character layer. The receipt matters here. This run used 32 sources. It produced a working document from a deep source pass. That is exactly the kind of work Gideon should be able to do when the project has a real file tree behind it. The output is not the end of the workflow. The next question is, what happens when I save a big planning document that touches a lot of canon? I open the network web in Draft Room, set the save path, and save it into planning docs. Then I check Update Canon Memory. This is an important moment. Update Canon Memory should not mean Gideon silently rewrites a bunch of connected files. That would be dangerous. A change to one file, one scene, or one planning doc can affect connected canon, but the writer still needs control, so the save creates a review layer. It records the source document, the connected files, and the possible downstream impact. Now I open the saved network web and library. This is the new planning document, the season-level map of the network. It shows Marion, Cyrus, Arthur, Caleb, Dane, Pierce, Dana, Jack, civic entities, the businesses, the money channels, the movement routes, and the pressure system. This is the payoff from the source-connected work. The project is getting stronger because the files are now talking to each other. But the first version of the review exposed the product problem. A receipt is not enough. If Gideon flags connected files, the writer needs to know what was flagged and why. This final clip shows the next step, the update review. I open the new review in library and scroll through it. This is what Update Canon Memory should become. Not an automatic rewrite, not a vague list of files. A writer-facing review that says, here are the connected files, here's why they were flagged, here's the evidence from the saved document, here's the suggested action, and here's the decision the writer needs to make. Approve, edit, hold, reject. That saves time because the writer does not have to go file by file trying to figure out what Gideon meant. It also keeps canon safer. Needs work stays for new canon profile candidates. Update reviews are for existing files that may need changes because a connected document changed. That split matters. Across these two sessions, the story gets bigger. In session 1, Gideon helped move Dana, Jack, and Whitcomb from loose Canon material into working Canon. In the second session, Gideon used that stronger Canon, plus the deeper planning docs, to build a Season 1 network web. And then the save process created the next piece of the workflow, an update review that helps the writer decide what should change across connected files. That's the real product shape. The chat is where I talk through the work. The library is where the project memory lives. Writer's room is where Gideon reads the source packet and thinks with it. Draft room is where the output becomes a document. Update Canon Memory is where the project asks, does this change affect anything else? And the writer still decides. I choose the source. I answer the questions. I approve the canon. I reject what is wrong. I keep the project organized. Gideon does not replace taste. It multiplies it. Bring your taste, bring your world, bring your standards. Gideon keeps up.